Hello, this is Bryant Myers, and this is video number 2 of the Getting Started Basics video. In this video, we're going to go through how to set up your IMRS 2000, and I'm going to show you how to program it as well. So everything is plugged in, and just as a note, in the back here is the Full Body Mat Pillow Pro, but it doesn't matter which order you plug them in, because the system is intelligent and it will know which is which. So just plug all three, if you want to plug all three, and if you have the probe, if you don't have the probe, you won't be able to plug that in. But if most people have at least a complete unit. And the power adapter plugs in the back. And the one thing about all the plugs is they can only plug into one place. So it should be pretty clear on how to plug it in and also how to plug it into your wall. So everything is plugged in. We're not going to go over the iMORE and the ISLRS yet. We're going to assume you just have a well-fit, complete, or professional basic system with no biofeedback and no ISLRS. So this video is kind of assuming you do not have those two. The next two videos we will go over those in detail. So the first thing we're going to do, and hopefully you can see this okay, these membrane keys down here are very clear. You know, this is the power, this is the applicators, time, intensity, and start. Now these white soft keys are going to correspond to what's on the screen here. So we're going to start, and I always tell people when I train them, we're going to go from left to right always, and we're just going to, you don't really need to even worry about anything to the right of start stop. So it's a lot easier than it looks. So we're going to turn the unit on, and this is a new system, so it's perfect because I'm going to have to program the clock and do some of the things you're going to have to do. So the very first thing that comes up is the contraindications. So we have to do this for legal reasons. So there's the 3 odd contraindications, which you probably should have been told already, are epilepsy, electronic implants, and pregnancy, mainly for legal reasons. Those small children are fine, it's just pregnant women. So we're going to press enter here, and quickly you're going to see what you have. And it's going to say, in this case it said IMRS complete, and it had everything checked. So that's because I have, this is the base, this is the deluxe model. But you might not have the iMORE and ISLRS checked if you only got the basic systems. So the very first thing, now on the screen, let's just kind of go over the screen here. At the top is the time. This is based on the Oregon clock, and we don't have the time set right, so this is not correct. You'll see that'll change. The north-south is the polarity. This is the time. This shows you which applicator is selected, and this is the intensity. Now, these three, the options, program, setup, iGuide, all correspond to the soft keys. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up. We're going to go to setup. We're going to set the clock. So when you press setup, the first thing that's highlighted is the clock. So we just press enter. And this is military time. So right now it's about 3:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be 15. Now in military time, p.m. is going to be greater than 12. So we're going to just use this plus arrow. We're going to up arrow or down arrow in the case if you've got to go down. But I'm just going to keep up arrowing to 15, which corresponds to 3:23. And if it's a PM time, just add 12 to the time, and that gets you your military time. And it's 3:03, so now because we selected the right time, the right hour, now we got to select the right minute. And now it's 3:04, actually 3:05 now. So we're going to go down to 5 and press enter, and that's it. The clock is set. Now in setup, there's a few other little tricks here. The volume is probably going to be fine. If the language is English and you speak English, then that's fine. Now the contraindications, here's something I like to do. I don't like to see those every time I turn my unit on. So if you press enter here, you can up arrow and turn those contraindications off. So that just saves you a couple seconds every time you turn it on. So that's kind of a nice little thing. And also in setup, let's see what else we have in setup here. Oh yeah, clock, volume, language, you're not going to change. Contraindication, we already did that. IMRS options, we can actually access that. Well, that just tells you everything you have. So this is what comes up on the screen right after you power it up. But in case that 2 seconds is too fast, you can just kind of look at it here. And you can see here I have the iOS and iMore and the iGuide, which is the professional unit. So complete plus iGuide is professional. So there's nothing to do here, just showing you what you have. And factory settings, this is kind of like rebooting your computer. Every now and then there's an issue that for whatever reason is cleared up by just resetting to factory settings. So sometimes I invoke that when I troubleshoot with people, but usually we don't need that. So we're just going to, basically in that setup screen, that's really all you need. As long as your time is set correct and there's really nothing else to do. Now, so that's kind of all you need to do to set it up. Now to do a full body mat session, I'm going to keep this really easy because this is like a quick start. Again, we powered it up. Now, right now you can see selected as a pillow. We want to select the full body mat, and you'll see that when you press the full body mat comes up. And 8 minutes level 25 is our recommendation, so we don't have to even change the time and intensity. So by default, everything is set right. So the timer, but just so you can see the timer here, you can plus that up to whatever time you want from 1 to 60 minutes. We're going to keep it at 8 minutes. You can plus it, arrow it down. So plus goes up, minus goes down. With intensity, you can also go from, well, let's go all the way down. The lowest setting is sensitive, and I call this level 3 because it's about, or level 2, because it's about 20 to 30% of level 10, but we just call it sensitive. It's the lowest setting for people that are really chemically sensitive. And typically we don't need to invoke that, but in certain sensitive cases we do. Most people are good with level 25 in the morning, level 10 at night for the basic protocols. So we're just going to go up to 25, but you can also keep going up to 400. Now with the full body mat sessions, we typically never go up that high. In fact, the basic protocol level 25 for 8 minutes is great for most people. And you can do that for the first couple weeks, and if you feel like you need more, you can, after the first week, you can up it to the next level. But up it very slowly. Don't just jump up to 400 because that can invoke a detox crisis. In our last getting started video, we'll go into that a little bit more. Right now, I just kind of want to show you how to do a basic setting. So basically, 8 minutes, 25, we just selected the full body mat, and we press the start-stop button. You hear the little chime, and it starts counting down. Now, when it's counting down, we know the mat is on. Now, if you have what's called a tri-field meter or something, you can actually see the little needle bobbing, so you'll know that it's on for sure. But just know that if the countdown clock is going, the unit is working, or the full body mat is on. It's got a built-in fail-safe because it's one connected circuit. There's no way it can be counting down and not work. And I know this from a lot of experience. It would say cable break warning if you did something like, cut one of the cables, which of course you'd never do. So if it's counting down, it's working. The energy is very subtle. Most people notice warmth, tingling, relaxation, and that usually translates to, more energy, just a better sense of well-being. It elevates your mood, and at nighttime, when you have the night setting there, right now it says evening, it will help you to go to sleep. So if you want to stop, now you can let this continue to go for 8 minutes, and it'll just chime and it will stop automatically, but we're going to stop it in the middle. If you ever want to just stop it in the middle, just press, again, it says start, stop. So if you want to stop, just press that again. And this is the app analysis. Now, we'll get to this later. We don't have the iMore plugged in, so it's not going to show us the right analysis. You would only get this if you have an iMore biofeedback, so just ignore this for now. Now, if you want to do a pillow pad session, you would select the pillow pad, and now for the pillow pad protocols, definitely refer to the iGuide here. So let's now get into the iGuide, and you can also select the probe. But if you didn't want to do the iGuide, if you want to just do some of the basic Wolfie's Law protocols, which I talked about in the very last video, typically, as a rule of thumb, you can use higher intensities for arms and legs, low back and hips, so you can really go up to the higher intensities. Again, this is just pillow pad and probe, not the full body mat. For the middle, for the torso, like your body where all your vital organs are, typically we stick to the middle range intensities, like 25, 50, 100, sometimes 150. And for the head and the neck, we keep it kind of lower, like level 10, 25, or 50, sometimes 100, like for teeth issues we can go up a little higher sometimes. So you can certainly use those basic protocols, but the nice thing about the iGuide, which we're going to go over now, is that it takes all the guesswork out. Now, some of these other things here, the options, we're going to get into on our, this is dealing with the iMORE and the ISLRS, the biofeedback and the light and sound. We're going to do that in the next video, so don't worry about that. Program, this is the P1, P2, P3. Honestly, just ignore that for now. I tell people just put a piece of tape over P1, P2, P3 because honestly I think it's just more confusing than helpful. The reason is it's so easy to select the time, intensity, and start. You know, you don't really have to have the P1, P2, P3 for 3 different users. So I tell people just ignore this for now when you're getting started. Ignore the organ clock because we have our clock set. So as long as your clock is set, you don't have to use the organ clock. Now, so that's really it for using the iMORE, or I'm sorry, the IMRS control unit. It's really, again, from left to right, power, select the applicator, select the time, usually 8 minutes, level 25, with the full body mat. With the pillow, I already explained some of those basic protocols in our last video. We'll go into more detail. And press start stop, that's it. You just lay down and relax. And when you lay on the full body mat, make sure your head is towards the cord. Like I said in the last video, both the pillow pad and the full body mat, doesn't matter which side is up or down, but you do on the full body mat, you do want your head towards the cord. Okay, so now really important, let's get into the iGuide. This is the last thing we're going to do in this video. You're going to see it's very easy. So we're going to go into the iGuide. Now this iGuide main screen here is just an index. It's not everything that's there. And I mentioned that in the first video. A lot of people get confused because they arrow down and they say, wait, there's only 24 conditions here. Well, those are just alphabetically the first, it's like an index, alphabetically the first condition of each letter. So let's say we want to get to allergies. So to get to allergies, we have to select the A, press enter on acne. That brings up all the A's. Now we just arrow down to allergies, press enter, and you can select the full body mat. If you have the iMORE, you'll just use the iMORE, but let's say you didn't have the iMORE. Well, then you can definitely use the full body mat recommendation because we always tell people, use the full body mat first, press enter, and it's recommending that we do level 25 for 16 minutes. So press start stop, and notice it says allergies below here. So that is very, very nice, and it takes all the guesswork out of what should I do for all these different conditions. So when you're done, start stop button, and you can always, as soon as you adjust the time and the intensity, the allergies goes away because now you're not using the allergy protocol anymore. So that's a quick, easy way to get rid of that. So again, we should, one of the salesmen should have sent you a copy of all the different conditions that are in there, because there are 284, and you can certainly go through them manually and just kind of see everything that's there if you just scroll through. But we do give you guys we send you a little file so you can just kind of see at a glance everything that's there. So again, some of the frequently asked questions, I just went over the iGuide. People get confused. They think the main screen is just everything that's there. Remember, that's just an index on the main screen. You got to kind of dig into each letter here to get to what the condition you're looking for. Another common question is, well, we set the clock, so that's taken care of. Now, another question that comes up a lot is, when you hit the power button, it doesn't turn it off. That's because it automatically shuts off after 2 minutes. So there's no way to power it down. Just let it shut off automatically, and that's all you have to do there. Don't worry about this SC in the screen. That's dealing with the iMORE. We're going to do that in the next 2 videos. We're going to talk about the iMORE and the ISLRS. But again, just to recap, once you've plugged everything in, and again, it doesn't matter which applicator is plugged into which slot in the back, make sure it's plugged in properly. And when you select your, when you have it plugged in, press the power button. Up will come the contraindications, plus press enter. You're going to set your clock as I went over. And once you're ready to do a session, you select the applicator you want, the time, the intensity, then press start. You're not going to need the organ clock just because you got your clock set, and you're not going to need P1, P2, P3, especially with the iGuide. Why? Because the iGuide has all the protocols already built in for you. All you got to do is just look up your condition. I mean, let's say you have kidney stones, for example. Well, just press enter and select. We're going to always start with the full body mat. That's the mat. Press enter and then press start stop. And what you'll see is in the iGuide, the 8 minutes level 25 is there a lot for the full body mat because that is our basic protocol. But let's say you now want to use the pillow pad, and you're gonna, here's the thing about the pillow pad and probe, and we really need to go over this a little bit and then we'll wrap this video up. The pillow pad and probe are for local application, and in the case of kidney stones, we go back in there. Let's say we want to use the pillow pad. Well, now we can put the pillow pad behind our low back over our kidneys. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Again, do the full body mat session first. Then you're going to go into your specific issues. And in this case, it makes more sense to use the pillow pad because the kidneys are more spread out. So the question of, should I use the probe or should I use the pillow pad? Well, they both have the NASA square wave. So which one you use depends on how big the area is. So for a small localized area, use the probe, like in the case of, say, toothache, or if you have tinnitus, or if you have a broken thumb, or you can even put it like on, say, the knees or a specific vertebrae, but a very pinpointed area. In the case of kidney stones, if you're working on both kidneys, you need a larger area to cover that. So we're going to select the pillow pad, and we're going to press enter on the soft key here, and it's going to tell us level 100 for 16 minutes. And then just press the start stop button. And so here's the basic protocol. Every day you want to do the full body mat twice a day. You can either use the basic protocol of level 25 in the morning, level 10 at night for 8 minutes, or you can look up your condition in the iGuide and select the full body mat recommendation for that condition. But if you have multiple conditions, this also is a question that comes up a lot, you don't have to keep looking up. You don't have to keep using the full body mat for every condition. So again, just twice a day for the full body mat, and you can do the full body mat for the main condition that's troubling you. Pillow pad and probe, there's no time limit, so feel free to do multiple conditions if you have the time. But if you have a limited amount of time, try to focus on the problems that are really bothering you most. And again, just consult to the iGuide because pretty much every condition is there. And if your condition is not there, like let's say you had macular degeneration of the eyes. Well, that's not in the iGuide, but we do have glaucoma and cataracts. So it turns out that the eye protocols are all pretty much the same. So you just use the condition that's most closely related to what you have. But most conditions are there. I hope this video was helpful. In the next video, we're going to go over how to use the iSLRS and the iMOR. There'll be 2 separate videos. And the final video is going to be more of a just an overall overview of kind of, inspiring you and some other things you can do. Besides the IMRS, there's other things that I highly recommend to people, and I'm going to go through that in the final video. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.